Hi, my name is María Elena, and I'm here to tell you about a teaching experience in which I try to combine task-based language teaching with information and communication technologies. The use of technology has become a priority in current language teaching. However, in my opinion, very few people have managed to incorporate this technology within a larger pedagogical framework. In this teaching experience, I try to do that. I try to combine the use of 3 free digital tools, web worksheet, project poster, and blog with task-based instruction. But let me tell you a little bit about the place where I work. I work at the Foreign Language Teaching Center of the National Autonomous University of Mexico. There, I teach intermediate university students from different study areas: sociology, psychology, philosophy, chemistry, dentistry, engineering, among others. My students are between 19 to 26 years old average. My students are not only highly motivated people, but they are also very critical and well-educated students. For this specific kind of students, the content in most English textbooks is rather superficial and not very challenging. Therefore, the experience I want to tell you about consisted in transforming a unit of a well-known English textbook, American Cutting Age, into a more personalized, challenging task. The textbook claims to be a task-based one, and as such, it includes a task in its design. The module I work with was Module 2, Memories, and the objectives for that unit can be found on the table of contents of that book. A deep analysis of this unit shows us that the textbook organization is closer to a presentation practice production model than to a task-based approach. The book moves from a PPP sequence on simple past and past continuous to another PPP sequence on used to and not any longer. It is only after 2 PPP sequences that we find a task describing a childhood memory. This task, in my opinion, compensates for the lack of pre-production in the 2 previous PPP sequences. Therefore, the way in which I transformed this task for my students was as follows. First of all, I made a deep analysis of the content of the unit and the objectives, and I concluded that the objective was for students to be able to tell a story from their past. Therefore, I created the task, a storytelling contest. The objectives, the potential linguistic outcome, and the outcome of the task can be seen right here. The idea of the task was focusing students' attention on a storytelling contest rather than focusing their attention on a PPP sequence on narrative tenses. In order to do that, students were invited to think about a story in their lives which they would like to share and make it win. In order to achieve the task objectives, the pre-task stage was supported by Web Worksheet. Web Worksheet is a digital tool which allows teachers to create a lesson online and to add their own links. The pre-task stage is very important because it is here where all the input and models on how to write stories are provided to the students. It is also very important because it is here where all the pedagogical framework of the task is built. The pre-task stage is as important as the task itself. It is here where the preliminary tasks and the main task are defined. It is here where the linguistic, the lexical, and the cohesive elements of the tasks are defined. It is here where we have to choose the appropriate links for students to achieve the objective. And it is here where we have to think about the evaluation rubrics to evaluate the outcome. The task stage was supported by Project Poster. Project Poster is a digital tool which allows teachers to create a virtual class. The virtual class looks more or less like this. As you can see, the teacher can see not only their students' names, but also the titles of their stories. Each of the students' posters looks more or less like this. They can add a picture, and they can also add up to 3 links related to their story. The post-task stage consisted on reading everybody's stories and voting for the best ones in different categories. The most frightening story, the most romantic, the funniest, etc. 30 stories were published in the online class. 30 stories that the students had to read and vote for. This stage was carried out in the class blog, where you can see more than 30 participation in each entry. Students' participations went from very short ones like this one to very long ones like Armando's or Raisa's, which I really invite you to take a look at. I had no idea what this task design was leading me to. As a teacher, I only wanted my students to reach the textbook objectives in a more personalized, motivating way. However, the results were really gratifying. First of all, I was able to discover my students' talents as writers. They were so creative and their stories were full of vivid details. Secondly, the group motivation went up considerably. The students' desire to win the contest led them to share their most precious moments and to write about them in detail. Concerning students' learning, the rubrics included for the task evaluation focused the students' attention on different factors rather than just narrative tenses. Students had to pay attention to paragraph organization, text construction, and linking devices. Therefore, their learning went much farther than just narrative tenses. The voting stage was also amazing. Reading each other's stories created the need for interaction, and therefore students turned the blog into a forum where they discussed what the best stories should be, and also they talk about the nature and objectives of the tasks. Therefore, they were talking about their cognitive processes. During the days that this experience lasted, we all entered the classroom with the feeling of having met somewhere else. Actually, we have met in our virtual class, and we have talked to each other in our class blog. I think the success of this experience depended 100% on my students. But it is here where I want to call your attention to how far motivated the students can get when they are involved in what they are doing and when they are challenged in the appropriate way. I'd like to finish this talk by showing you a picture of my students. As you can see, they are holding a diploma they got after their participation in this storytelling contest. Thank you very much.